Here is the most difficult and impossible question that I ask. And Liz, I'll throw this one to you before you leave us.
You got fast enough.
You were this close. I saw you getting ready. I always ask, what is your favorite, since we're talking about mysteries, what is your favorite mystery novel and what writers have most influenced you?
Wow. I love Harry Potter, and I know it's not a mystery, but I just absolutely love Harry Potter. So I think and I really love young adult fiction. Like I would pick that any day over like an adult novel. I just love it. And I think it's the teacher in me that I love that.
Well, I would say every Harry Potter novel is a mystery. It's just the solution always happens to be the defense against the dark arts teacher. And Tony?
Boy, a favorite. It kind of depends on the moment. But somebody that I really admire and look up to is William Kent Krueger. I think his mysteries are beautifully written. They're so full of life and purpose and meaning, and the guy, like I said, just writes. I wish I could write like that. He has ways of setting scenes that just bring you right in there, and so he is, I think, just a remarkable writer, and his last standalone novel, which was called This Tender Land, it remains one of my very favorites. It's just wonderful. It's sort of a coming of age.
City Sisters of Crime just had him for a virtual event, right?
They did, yeah. Yep. And anyway, and if you have not, this is to anybody out there in the audience, if you have not read William Kent Krueger, he's got a series, but if you don't want to get wrapped up in the series, read his two standalone novels, Ordinary Grace and This Tender Land. They are amazing, amazing novels. In fact, the Ordinary Grace won the Edgar Award the year it was published. And I was really disappointed that This Tender Land did not get nominated for an Edgar, because it was just a remarkable novel.
And Ross, same question to you. Favorite mystery and writers who've most influenced your work?
Well, it's easy to answer who influenced me the most. It's Les Roberts. Les wrote and still writes. He's in Cleveland now, but he wrote mysteries starting out in Los Angeles, and then wrote, I think, 17 set in Cleveland. And he is, and he's a friend now, but he is I was a close friend of my wife's sister. And so I met him, kind of a long story, had coffee with him every time I went to Cleveland. I read all of his novels. I loved him. And he finally said, Ross, you ought to write your own mystery. And he was really the one who inspired me to start writing novels. As far as my favorite one of all time, probably John Ross Macdonald's book called The Galton Case, which goes so far beyond, it's a psychological thriller and a mystery set mainly in Canada. And The Galton Case is one that I have probably reread 10 times.
Karen?
Authors who have influenced me, definitely Stephen King, Alfred Hitchcock, Edgar Allan Poe, and Dennis Lehane, Robert Cray. I love humor and dark humor. One of my favorite authors is C.J. Box, and he writes an excellent series that is about a game warden out in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
I see Ray Bradbury in your stuff too.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention him.
And Marianne?
As far as a mystery that I would recommend is, I love Louise Penny. I do tend to get on the bandwagon with different authors, but lately I've been reading a lot of her her books and The Better Man. Recently, I read The Brutal Telling, and I love her humor that she throws into the books. She seems to have that whole package, you know, the plot, the characters, the setting, you know. It's just really, I wish I could do that, you know. It's just so neat that she can pull that all together the way she does. And, you know, I really enjoy reading everything. Her Armand Gamache reminds me so much of Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot. A lot of similarities there, I think. But yeah, I'd really recommend her books.
Elizabeth?
So trying to like pick one author that you love is sort of like, I don't know, asking a crack addict to, you know, pick their favorite drug. Well, no, or
I think that would be easy for a crack addict.
okay, no, maybe I need to be more general, but to ask a drug addict to pick their favorite drug. How about that? Anyway, so two authors that I like. Whenever they come out with anything, I always go get their books. Is Jim Butcher, and especially his Dresden Files. I love those books, although in his last book, he killed off one of my favorite characters. So I'm still kind of mad at him. And Charlene Harris, who I have had the delight of meeting actually a couple of times. And I don't know if you guys have read any of her books. She runs the gamut of, you know, like she has cozies, and a lot of her stuff was like, you think of like the vampire stuff. But they're all definitely mysteries. She's this tiny little lady. She's like maybe 5 feet tall, if that. And she's, you know, kind of a sort of seems like Southern lady or whatever. And I just remember when I was meeting her, I was like, how does she come up with all this weird stuff? And, you know, I was like, I mean, it's just amazing. The books that she comes up with. Like actually the Midnight Texas, well, it was called the Crossroads trilogy, but then they made it into a TV show called Midnight Texas, which only lasted 2 seasons, unfortunately. But I don't know. I love her stuff. There's a lot more authors that I love, like Lori Raider Day, actually, who is a member of our chapter, as well as being one of the past presidents of National. She's a wonderful writer. I love her books. There's just too many to mention. Sorry.
And Diana.
Well, I love everybody. I've read everything everybody's mentioned, every author they've all mentioned, but I'll throw out a few other names that are really good. Sarah Paretsky, who is the founder of Sisters in Crime. S.J. Roseanne, who's done a lot of, she's a real good writer and a real good chapter friend. I like Elmore Leonard. I like Tony Hillerman. Stephen King, I think somebody mentioned him already. All the Sherlock Holmes books, I grew up on all those. I just was an avid reader, and it's hard to pick a favorite. Probably my favorite book that I've read multiple times, besides Harry Potter, I've read that a lot, but To Kill a Mockingbird, your middle-aged readers might have read that by now. It's a real good classical story that if they haven't read it, they will by the time they get out of high school, I think.
Yeah, I like to
And say they did, and then read it when they were older and say, oh my God, why did I skip this in high school?
Mhm.
I want to mention this one. It's the one I'm reading now. It just won the Anthony Award at VoucherCon. It's called Blacktop Wasteland by Cosby, an African-American writer, and this is an absolutely amazing book. I had not even heard of him before, and that's my own ignorance, but this book won the Anthony Award this year, and I'm just about finished with it, and I highly recommend. It's a very powerful and somewhat dark novel, but he's a powerful writer.